What do you think is the biggest weakness for Keegan Murray in your eyes? Being a coach, being a father, like what do you think he needs to do to take it to the next level?
I told him this before the Orlando game when I was down there with him. I said, you got to get back to being the dog you were in college. Like that mentality of like nobody can guard you.
Is she the best Hawkeye ever?
Man.
Welcome to the Three in the Paint podcast. I'm Jeremiah Solomonson. Leo Bias, Mark Haynes, your host as usual, episode 9. And today we have a special guest with us. Special stuff. We want to thank Kenyon Murray for being here today, joining us on the Three in the Paint podcast. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a fun thing to be on other people's podcasts because I'm always on the other side of it. Yeah. So it's that's one thing I'm trying to do a lot more of is just, get out there and help support other podcasts. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Now you get to relax and just be yourself.
Yeah.
Not have the pressure of having the host.
Absolutely.
We like to have fun, so it's gonna be easy. And those of you who don't know, I'm looking at over here like the camera not here. But those of you who don't know, which I'm sure most of you know, Kenyon is the father of the twins Keegan and Kris Murray, 2 NBA players out of one family. How crazy is that?
That's insane, bro. That's insane. It's you, LeVar Ball and then it's the Holiday Boys, right? So they got 3 of them in the league.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really in a very elite group of just being a father, right?
Absolutely. I think
what's that feel like?
Yeah, there's I think there's 5 sets of identical twins in the league right now, which is crazy.
Yeah, Lopez.
Yeah, you got the Lopez,
Fresno.
you got the Thompson twins, you got
the Wagners.
No. You got
they're not twins, but they're
Morris
brothers.
twins.
Yeah. Then there's
Morris twins.
Is it Comanche?
Martins.
The Martins, and then
the Martins.
and
UNR.
then,
Shout out to UNR.
Yeah, and then there's one plays for Sacramento, or not Sacramento, but San Antonio, and I can't think.
Oh, the point guard.
No, not them. He's
Tyus Jones.
Nope,
They're not a twin. They brothers.
I can't think
There's
of
a lot of brothers in the league.
I'll think of it later.
A lot
But
of brothers in the league.
no, but I mean, honestly, it's just one of those things. Like the odds of getting to the NBA are
Right.
so low. I mean, it's like 0.01% of college players even have an opportunity, and then to have 2. I mean, you said it. It's rarefied air for that to happen.
Right.
And if you asked me 5 years ago, I would not believe where we are right now. But that's an attestament to the boys more than anything, for that desire and kind of keeping things
What a blessing.
lined up and focused. And yeah, man, it's just been crazy, but blessed. We're definitely blessed.
Yeah, so your background, so obviously Iowa plays a big role in your family and everything Murray. So you and your sons, describe the kind of the Iowa journey that you guys have been on basically for the last few decades.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I was Mr. Basketball in Michigan in 1992, and then I kind of shunned Michigan and Michigan State and went to Iowa. So that was a big deal. And I was McDonald's All-American, so came in pretty heralded. The one thing is people always ask, did you make it in the NBA and that kind of stuff? And I didn't. I think there's a lot of things, and I talked to my coach about now that I probably should have done better and maybe give myself that opportunity. But right. I truly believe my path is what it was, so I could be set up to help my boys. And, coming out of high school, they were not very heavily recruited. They had one offer, and they went to prep school in Florida, which we can get into.
Right.
But once they made the Iowa visit, which was the first school they visited, they've been keeping tabs on them, and they went there, and it was a wrap. They showed up on Thursday, got offered on Friday, accepted on Sunday, and flew back to Florida to keep working out. And that's what it was. And it was the first visit the week after the showcase happened in Florida, and that was it. Even though there was 40-plus schools calling about them, it was Iowa was where they wanted to go. So
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Didn't take any visits or nothing.
No, I was like, hey, ACC, SEC schools, you sure? And they were like, they had already talked. If Iowa gave them an offer coming up, they were gonna take it. And the one thing that Fran did was he recruited. He saw the difference in them, and he felt like they both could fit in the program, but they would have different roles and maybe we saw Kris kind of got everything a year later, and he was cool with that. I mean, he understood it. My wife wasn't, but he was cool with it. And so the Iowa journey, I mean, it's been great, and to be right there close to home, 20 minutes away. I mean, we could be at every home game and that kind of stuff. So it made a difference, and I don't think the legacy part really bothered them because they felt, we're gonna create our own path. So it's been pretty awesome to watch.
Talking about your twins, is there one that's more attached to the dad or more attached to the mom?
Oh yeah. You asked him that. If you ask Kris, he'll tell you right off the bat it's Keegan. And so
it's you and Keegan, it's Kris and mom.
Yeah. So no, I think we've always been a really close family, and emotionally we just kind of know how they roll, and we know when they need certain things. And the toughest thing has been just the distance, because mom and I and their sister and their other brother were still in Iowa. And so that distance is something that we're not used to as a family. And so we started to get used to it with Keegan. And then now with Kris out here too, things are looking like we're going to become a West Coast family. So, so we're excited.
Welcome.
And hold on, did I just catch him say the state the way I say it?
Yeah. Iowa? How'd you say it?
How you say it?
Iowa.
Yeah. Ain't that what I said?
No. He says Iowa.
Most people don't even know where it's at, so it's all good.
Iowa.
Okay.
Iowa.
Iowa.
No, just
Iowa.
You like breaking it up. No, it's just Iowa. Just like let it
Mark
roll.
can do it that though.
Okay, it's like you break it like Iowa. Like no, it's
he says Wembayana. So that's how people get on him. It's Wembayama.
it's all good.
And I know it. It just comes out every time.
Yeah.
Wembenyama. I got it. Iowa.
People know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
You'll get flamed in the comments, but it's okay.
So, being a Hawkeye legend yourself, and there's a legend that's out there right now, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on her, and have you had much interaction with her?
Yeah, man, love that girl. Watched her in high school, obviously being from Iowa. And the one thing I'll tell you is, like, as good a basketball player as she is, she's a better person. I mean, she was sitting in front of us at the men's games, after she started dating Connor. And the one thing is, like, she's a killer. Like, she is built for the big stage, like everyone's seen, because she's put in the work. Like, everybody wants to be like Caitlin or shoot like Caitlin and logo threes and that kind of stuff. But I mean, that girl works. Like, her off season is crazy. She's always pushing herself to be better. And I think she has definitely changed the game and brought eyeballs to the TV. But I think right now, especially going into WNBA, they have a slew of young talent in the league that they need to pair her with in order to take for the league to take that next step. So I think it's important how the WNBA is going to market her, because she's all about the game. So whatever way she can help lift the women's game at the professional level, she's going to do.
By pairing, you mean like on the same team, or like doing like marketing things together?
I'm saying like doing marketing things, like you pull in a Asia Wilson or a Sabrina Ionescu or Brianna Stewart. I mean, you got all these great players in the league. I think you partner her with that. I mean, you already see like 90% of the Indiana Fever games are going to be on national TV, which they played on national TV one time last year.
Right.
And Iowa this year sold out every single game, not just home, but away. And that's crazy. Yeah. And all eyes were on her. And she embraced that. The team embraced it. I don't think there could have been a coach to handle all that. I mean, Lisa is perfect for that, because she's that kind of person. How can we lift the game? And so yeah, man, she's special, dude. And I think her one thing that people see more from her is not her scoring, but her passing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how do you lead the
nation?
Yeah, the nation in points and assists.
It's crazy.
Like, this girl's vision is crazy. So I think that's where the game will open up a lot more, is because now that people have to guard her so far out, she's going to spread the floor open like Aaliyah Boston. Even though she was rookie of the year, she's going to open up the game for her too. So yeah, I'm just excited to see her get it done on the next level.
Is she the best Hawkeye ever?
Man. Here's a crazy thing. If you think about the last 6 years, we had Megan Gustafson, National Player of the Year, Luka Garza, Caitlin Clark. I mean, Keegan, It is what it is. He was first team All-American. He probably should have been Player of the Year.
Right, for sure.
In that conference, but it is what it is. I know the Davis family and everything, but I'm a little biased. And then you have Kris coming up. You know what I mean? So we've had just a slew. Oh gosh, we just had this slew of great players from a basketball standpoint. But I think when you look at her impact on the game and what she's accomplished, I would have to say she's the greatest Hawkeye of all time. And I mean, and who going out, they tell you before you even leave campus that your jersey is going to be retired. So that's big time.
I think it's interesting. What do you think about, like, obviously there's been talent in the WNBA before, right? That's not like it's not anything completely new. But Caitlin's, like you touched on it, like Caitlin's, her personality and kind of that fire that she shows. What do you think that specifically will do for the WNBA? Like, I know a lot of people that were never really interested in women's basketball that, like, they see that and that's something that really attracts them to the game now.
Yeah.
And, they might not have been people who watched a lot before, but now they're gonna be like, well, I'm going to be tuned into those games and I'm going to be following that along. What do you think? Like, do you think that's something the WNBA has needed? What do you like? How do you think that dynamic's going to play out?
Here's what I think. 50% of the people watching the game are going to be rooting for, and the other 50 are going to want to see her fail. So there really hasn't been, quote, I mean, if you want to look at it like this, like, there really hasn't been like, oh, there's this, she's all positive. She's all, I wouldn't even say positive and negative, but it's just she brings eyes to the TV for so many different reasons. And I think if marketing utilized correctly, it can start create even more rivalries in the WNBA. And I think that's what they need. You know, in the NBA, they have those rivalries. In college, you have those rivalries. So now you got all these people that were like, people that don't think she's great.
Right.
Just like when LeBron came.
Right, absolutely. So
the Bron effect, right?
Yeah. Like, it's funny to hear stories about the guys that were on the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, oh, this young dude ain't gonna come in here and do anything, right?
Boozer, remember that?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of that same effect with her is there's going to be the natural rivalries. But even like when you talk to Angel Reese, she's like, I like Caitlin. We talk, I mean, it's really cool. But I think the WNBA needs that to bring eyes because now you got Vegas, who's probably the giant, and the Liberty are really good too. So if Caitlin's able to lift Indiana into that echelon, dude, I think it's going to be great for the league and maybe even change the TV deals. Because if they're bringing, if 18 million people watch the finals,
crazy
if those
numbers.
kind of eyes can come to the WNBA, you better get a better TV contract. And I think that'll start lifting, the salaries and all the things
with that will come the money. And
they definitely have to do that. So I think they're in a pretty unique situation right now. And if they take advantage of it, man, it could uplift the entire league.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the greatest Hawkeye ever.
Yeah,
it's hard
I'm only the third best in my house, so it's cool for me.
You're in the conversation, man. Let's shift gears to the NBA. Your sons are in the league, obviously. Again, we can go back to that being a great honor. Last night was a tough game. Obviously, I do want to touch on that. What do you think is the biggest weakness for Keegan Murray in your eyes? Being a coach, being a father, like, what do you think he needs to do to take it to the next level?
I told him this before the Orlando game when I was down there with him. I said, you got to get back to being the dog you were in college. Like that mentality of like nobody can guard you, right? And I think when you look at the situation he came into with Fox and Domas being here, rookie last year, he took, he was probably that fifth guy with Herter and Barnes. And I think that's the biggest leap. It's from the neck up. Like just the mentality. Like he's locked in. I think he's proven that he can defend anybody anywhere on the floor. He can shoot the ball. But it's that mentality like whoever's guarding you, they can't guard you and you can take advantage of that. Whether you're creating for someone else on the team or you're creating for yourself. And I know that becomes a product of whatever offense that they're calling and stuff like that. But I think that's where I think his next leap will come, is just in that. His ball handling's got to get a lot better. I think his creativity off the dribble, which is one of the things that we're going to be focusing on in the offseason, is his handle and being able to get to a spot a little bit easier. But you can see when it comes to catch and shoot, one or two dribble pull-ups, that floater, I don't know where the hell that came from, but that floater is nice. He's got all the tools, and what I told him, there's no reason that you can't be All-NBA or MVP candidate And so that's my thing,
like
is just speaking greatness into them, both he and Kris. But I think that's the thing, the mentality, the handle. And once he gets the handle, dude, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
I think for Kris, too, Kris starts knocking down his threes. He's shown that he can put the ball on the floor, create for other people.
Yeah.
Once he gets that, it's a wrap, dude. That's what we've always said, like, I want you to be able to play anywhere on the floor for any coach. And the foundation that they've put together has been great. But, yeah, for Keegan, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, handles and just that mentality.
And just trying to get to the spot, right? Like trying to get to like that mid range, like a Chris Middleton. I mean, 6'8", 6'9".
Absolutely.
Like I see nights where I'm like, damn, like dude, just do it. Like sometimes he'll give up the dribble too fast, right? Off that DHO when he can just turn the corner and just stop on the dime. Like he's capable. Like he does it, and then he just kind of goes away from it. But I think it is that like the mindset to want to do that, right? Like that dog in them, which he's capable of doing it.
Absolutely.
When he's got that fade away. He's not like a fade away. It's not like your typical fade away, but he's got like that falling fade away. And at 6'8", no one's blocking that. No one's blocking that.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think it was on your podcast, you was talking to their former coach, and y'all was talking about how what made them so good is from shoulders up or whatever. And so are you confident, which I know the answer, but are you confident that that's going to happen?
Absolutely. I think it's just part of the progression. It happened in high school, too. It was one of those things where their senior year, they've been good high school players, but there's probably about 10 or 12 guys in the state that were ranked ahead of them. And we had a number of those guys in our conference. And so it was always that thing, like, go take it from them, right? And so they had that mentality there. Well, when they got the DME, Coach West did a great job of that. He saw the potential. He saw the skill set was there. You know, they put on 20 pounds in a year at DME, and they've continued to do that. So that made a difference. But Coach West was like, it's your mentality from the standpoint of you have to lead, not only by example, but sometimes you have to lead, you know, verbally. And then it's just putting in the work every day. They set they're more of those guys that, you know, just watch what we do, and they don't really talk a whole lot. So yeah, they've done it at every level, and so I don't think it's anything different. Part of it is just kind of figuring out the league and that kind of stuff, obviously for Kris. But yeah, there's no doubt, and that's what I tell people, like, it's a process, and the boys fell in love with the process when they were in 5th grade, and they've continued to just trust the process all along the way. Never try to rush anything. Never try to do anything that's outside of who they are. So, yeah, to answer your question, it's coming.
Yeah.
Like,
Do the twins love basketball? Like,
oh, my God.
Are they in love with basketball?
Yeah, it was.
Awesome.
And I wasn't forcing it on them. Like, my wife and I one thing we wanted to do is them to have balance. So they played soccer and flag football, and they were better baseball players in 8th grade than they were basketball players. And my wife, both left-handed, both could pitch. Kris was a great outfielder. Keegan was a great first baseman. So we kept that balance. And so I never was like, hey, let's go to the gym.
Yeah.
We get back from a baseball term. It's like, Dad, can we go shoot? Like, yeah, I got keys. And so we set up this thing like, give me the first 45 minutes to an hour. And after that, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so we went through our routine, got our work in, and they usually stay in the gym another hour playing one-on-one or shooting games, stuff like that. So they definitely love being in the gym. It's hard for them to take a vacation. Keegan's good for about 2 days, and then he wants Kris is a little more laid back. So you know, Keegan was just like, no, I got to be in the gym. Kris is like, dude, I've been grinding all year. Like, I'm gonna take this time to rest. So
he was here all summer with De'Aaron, right?
Yeah, he was
working.
He was, and so, but yeah, they absolutely love the game. You know, I think they love it's basketball. I don't know. I'm probably getting in trouble saying this, but I would say it's probably. Okay, they're girls first.
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah. I don't know. The dogs are real close in there with basketball. And then everything else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they're very focused kids, and that's what's allowed them to get here.
Did you say that when you said they were both left-handed, you said you meant
your
your wife and Kris, or
no,
Keegan?
Kris. So myself, Kris, and Keegan were all left-handed.
Wow.
But
all
Keegan
left-handed.
shoots right now.
So do I. So
Oh wow.
You're ambidextrous.
So I had like a two-handed shot. I didn't start playing ball serious until 8th grade. So my coach is working my shots two hands. So he just naturally put the ball in my right hand. One day in practice, I'm on varsity. We're running this like, I don't know what it was, but I cocked back from the baseline and threw it left-handed. And my coach is like, Murray, what are you doing? It's like, what are you talking about, coach? He goes, you threw it with your left hand. I go, coach, I'm left-handed. He's like, well, why the hell did I teach you how to shoot right-handed? I was like, I wasn't going to, I mean, you're a Hall of Fame coach. I'm not going to say anything against you. Rest in peace, Chuck Turner. But and so what I saw was they were both left-handed. And so I wanted to switch both of them to being right-handed shooters. Because if someone sees you shoot with your right, what do? Force them left.
Yep.
Keegan took to it. Kris is stubborn, but didn't. So he stayed with the left. Keegan jokes about it. He's like, Daddy, he still only goes left. Like, they can't stop him going left. So that's what it was. So everything else they do, everything else they do is left-handed, except Keegan shoots right-handed. And so that was by design. I wanted them both to do it, but Kris has always been that kid that's stubborn and does his own thing.
Look, he dropped two parenting bars right there. Like the one he's like, 45 minutes, do what I say.
Yeah.
The rest, do whatever you want and let them, figure out what they love. And then force your kid to use that weekend for everything. My son, as of today, he just turned left-hand shooter right now.
Yeah, right.
Shout out Nehemiah. Shout out Nehemiah.
Yeah, that's what we doing.
So,
it's crazy.
And we talked about this a little bit off air, but did you have like obviously the things you're talking about are intentional, right?
Yeah.
But did you have like this grand plan that your sons are going to be in the league? Is that like a dream of yours, or like? And you said the statistics earlier. Most hoopers don't make it to the league, and you have both your sons in the league. Talk about how gratifying that is. One, and like, was that like really like, was that the plan all along?
No, the plan was them to go to college for free. I mean, obviously, that's what it was. And I thought they could be good college players, and then kind of figure it out after that. But you talk about genetics and the growth spurt, and they're both a shade under 6'9", and but they were small. So the skills they have shown they always had. Like they were guards. I mean, freshman year they're 5'11". They could both shoot the ball. Yeah. They could handle the ball a little bit. They were guards, and we stayed with the same regimen as they grew and that kind of thing. So no, the plan was just to get a college scholarship and do it that way and figure it out after that. You asked them when they thought. When it was a possibility. I mean, Keegan, after he made the all-freshman team, was kind of like, okay, like I might have a chance, and that's when some agents started asking around. And Kris really felt like January of their sophomore year when he started playing a lot more in the Big Ten, and Keegan gets in foul trouble. He scores 28 and 11 on Indiana off the bench. It's like, okay, this kid got a chance too. So I think that's when it really happened. But just the skyrocketing trajectory that they both had when given the opportunity. We just talk about always, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So when that opportunity comes, you're ready to take the reins, and Keegan was and Kris was after that. So not a grand scheme, but I mean, honestly, it's just still a blessing, right?
Yeah.
To be here and to have them. I mean, they're the first two back-to-back first-round picks at Iowa since the 70s. And so, that's pretty special too. So
they both have the same growth spurts, like at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Kris is always kind of, when it comes to like the weight and stuff like that, he's always been about a year behind Keegan. So that's why this offseason we're really excited to get him in the weight room and have a full offseason in the NBA and just kind of see what happens. So it's gonna be. I mean, I'm excited. It's gonna be good.
So you're here in Sacramento with us. We appreciate that. But also here in Sacramento are the Sacramento Kings, Keegan Murray. And coming into town, when this goes, we're not sure exactly when this will go out, but the game will have already happened or it will be happening that day. What is it like for you watching both your boys compete against each other? Obviously, Kris has played in Sacramento once before earlier this season. What's that like? And like, what do you look forward to when you get to see them in person playing each other in the NBA?
Oh, man. Well, for my wife, it's a lot of nerves. She usually wears a shirt that says, I just hope both teams have fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
But one team has to win.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. We'll mix it up tonight or on Sunday with the jerseys and that kind of thing. But it's awesome because I've never seen it. Only time I saw them play against each other was maybe in a summer league, high school summer league where they're on different teams or just going at each other in practice, right? So, but I mean, to tell you, since All-Star break, Kris has started every game for the Blazers, and to have them both out there starting in the NBA,
crazy.
like, dude, it's the wildest thing.
What a blessing!
But they're still, they're just our kids, and one of the things is, I think it'll be tough for them to score on each other, just because they know, Kris's first NBA block was against Keegan.
Yeah, he got that block. I was gonna say, we got to talk about that block, man.
Yeah, it was like, he's seen that move a lot, and it's really weird because I don't know if anybody saw like the drip cam before the game against Phoenix, but Keegan was wearing a hoodie, his Iowa Barnstormer shorts. I don't know why he was wearing those, and his UGG slippers, and then flipped to Kris getting caught on the drip cam with the Blazers, hoodie, shorts, and slippers. Like, they didn't even call it. Like, dude, it's the weirdest thing.
That's funny.
They can be in completely different places, and they're wearing the exact same thing. So, we're excited just to see them compete at that level. Right. And I tell you, man, it's we don't take it for granted when it comes to where they're at, and we know they've been given an unbelievable platform to show people what they can do. So for us, we just try to soak it all in and be mom and dad and cheer for both. And it's kind of weird, but we know somebody has to win in the end. But yeah, we'll just enjoy it as a family.
Does it help? Does it help at all that the Kings are in a playoff position, the Blazers not at this current moment? So does that help at all? You're not having to root against two playoff teams, and
that'd be tough.
That would be tough because
It's coming.
you can't root for one of your son's season to end, right?
It's almost like the Kelsey parents, right?
Yeah.
Super Bowl, that's the biggest game.
Yeah. Somebody's got to lose, but we know where Portland's at.
Yeah.
We know where Sac's at. So it'll be really, really easy to cheer on both kids.
Yeah.
You remember I texted you that first game, and I was like, "What you go wear? Like, New Jersey?"
Yeah.
And he sent me a picture. It had it was a Blazer hoodie with a Kings shirt.
It was a Kings hoodie with a Blazer shirt. Underneath.
That's
great.
great.
I think this time we're gonna switch jerseys at halftime. So my wife will wear one, I'll wear the other one, and then we'll flip it at halftime. I had her pick me up a Keegan Murray jersey, which is kind of crazy, but pick one of those up for me. So yeah, we'll keep it that way. And our daughter's wearing black and white. She's like she's Switzerland in this whole thing. She is not going to go either way with the boys. So
there you go.
And that's what, like you said, it's weird buying the Keegan Murray jersey.
Yeah.
Now, how does it feel when you hear the Keegan Murray chant? My daughter is 2.
Yeah.
She heard it one time when he did a grocery store appearance or whatever, and some random fan said Keegan, and everybody in the store said Murray.
Oh, that's funny.
So my 2-year-old does it all the time, and she'll look at me and go Keegan, and if I don't say nothing, she'd be like, Dad.
Yeah.
Murray.
Yeah. That's funny.
What was that for you? Like, did you ever think you would hear the Murray name shouted like that?
No, and I wasn't here when they first started doing. My wife was here at the game, and and she said it just brought her to tears because once again you hear your family name like that. It's just wild, and I think it also goes to the Sacramento fans. Like, they've been so loyal, and I mean there's players that people will name like as their favorite players that maybe the rest of the country, like, he played for the Kings or whatever, and so I think it just shows how much the fan base has really embraced him and feel like he's one of their own. So, for that, we're just, it's just an awesome feeling to hear your son's name and him be recognized that way. But yeah, it's still kind of weird. But, I never thought I would see, the Murray name on the back of the NBA jersey. So once again, it's really humbling too, that they both have made it. But, all glory, to God and kind of leading that path, because honestly, there was a lot of blind faith in sending them to prep school and those kind of things. We didn't know what would happen. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I joke about we were robbing Peter to pay Paul, but it was one of those things. Like, that was the one thing that my wife and I said: if we tell you to do anything, you're doing this. And they didn't want to go to prep school. They were like, no, Dad's tripping. I was like, nope, I don't care, and we'll figure out a way to get it done. So so we know it's just been a blessed path, and we know we have to do something positive with it too. So, but yeah, it's just still really cool.
So let's touch a little bit on your faith. Obviously, I have a strong faith in God, and obviously on your shirt, faith, family, foundation.
Yeah.
And without a strong foundation, right, without really having God first, things don't really go as well for a lot of people. So I feel like
Facts.
God is first in your life.
Yeah.
How has that really helped you and propelled your family to be where they are today?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if I was the same person 6 years ago, we wouldn't be here. I truly, it was December of 2018. My wife sent me a text and said our marriage was over. And so I was away on a national sales meeting trip or whatever, and so I really had to search for who I was in this whole thing. And we sat the kids down. We told them everything, and we said we didn't know if we don't know if we're gonna stay together, But Dad's on a path of making himself the best version of himself, which I know if I do that, I'll be a good husband, I'll be a good father. And so we started down that journey, man. And part of it was really having a relationship with God. Like, I was born in South Carolina, Southern Baptist. My wife's Catholic. I got, baptized Catholic to be part of the family thing. But it wasn't a true relationship. And so we had to go through that process. So it's been everything. And I look back on it, if I was the same guy now, like, I don't know if the boys would trust me the way they do to handle as much as I'm handling for them right now, so they can stay focused on their main task right now. So it's played a huge part in what we do, and we know from the place we are, we have to give back. Like, there's no if you don't share your blessings, then God will take them away. And so we want to make sure, like, as a family, we're pouring into the communities that our kids are a part of, whether it's here in Sac or in Portland or back home in Cedar Rapids. And man, it's everything. And without that, and without my wife taking a leap of faith on me, I wouldn't be here. And I think it really shows, like, when you're on the right path, like, these things can happen for you. But then what do you do with it once you get it? And so we're still, we want to be shepherds. We want to be of service to people. And so that's the big, I think that's the bigger thing that we're going to do as a family is that.
So Kenyon, like, we talked a lot about your sons, obviously, but two different paths to the NBA.
Yeah.
One was drafted in the lottery. The other one wasn't. One walked the stage. The other one didn't. What was those nights like for you guys doing it, two different ways?
Yeah. Oh man, with Keegan it was crazy because you knew you were in the green room. Obviously he was going to be a top 5 pick, maybe top 6 at worst. And it was a lot, man. I mean, we get to New York and you're just running the whole time, and it happened so fast. Those 2 or 3 days we were there, like, just flew by, and Keegan was always doing something. And so, but it was a special night, being there and sharing that moment with the family. Was really cool. And then, when it came to Kris, his last workout was on a Monday, and it was with Golden State. And they wanted him to fly out. He was flying back home, and they wanted him to fly out on Tuesday. And he was like, well, can I come out on Wednesday, get a day at home? And they were like, no, we need you there. So we as a family made the decision that we'll just celebrate here with everybody. And so we rented out a nice spot right across from Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, and it was beautiful. And we were able to, it was really cool because we were able to bring so many more people there, whether it was his girlfriend's family, our family, friends. Like, it was just their high school coach, their AAU coach got to go. So it was really cool. And Kris was like, I'd already, I was in New York with Keegan the year before. Do I really want to be there doing all that kind of stuff? So, the day of the draft, we actually played the John Deere Classic is a PGA tournament. The course was actually set up for the tournament the next week, and we actually golfed that John Deere the day of the draft, and just he and I and his brother and Keegan, and we just kind of chilled, and everything was cool, man. And it rolled off, and we didn't feel like we missed anything because we've been in New York the year before. But yeah, Kris thought about coming out in 22. I think he was looking for more of a guarantee, and once he didn't get it, he told his agent, like, I want to go back. And Mark Bartelstein is unbelievable as an agent. And Mark says, he goes, sometimes when someone says they want to bet on themselves, right, in this situation, they're going to the league, right? Regardless of where they get drafted, they're free agent. He goes, it takes some heart and cojones to go back to college, knowing, like Kris said, I want to be the guy on the top of the scouting report. And then to take that, embrace it, and then become a first-team All-Big Ten player, third-team All-American, 23rd pick in the draft. Like, it's one of those stories that Mark tells, like, that's the ultimate betting on yourself, to go back knowing all this is going to come at you, all this pressure. And he always said, there's no pressure on me, because pressure comes when you're not prepared. And both of those boys, like, they've always prepared themselves for the moment. And Kris did that, and obviously is where he is right
One
now.
pick away from the Kings at 24.
I think they would have took him if he was there.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. But I think it was important that they had their own journey. Do we eventually want them to play together? Yeah, absolutely. Like, that would be crazy, because I think people are seeing now the difference in their games and how they could actually coexist on the floor at the same time. But yeah, I think it allowed them to grow away from each other. I mean, they still talk every day, FaceTime every day. Keegan has been a mentor, even though he tells me he hasn't, to Kris. But he goes, well, I didn't have any other rookies with me, and Kris has got 5 rookies with him or whatever. It's like, but still, you've been in it a year, you can help your brother out. It's like, whatever. But then I know they talk. So they just don't like to tell me I'm right sometimes, which is okay. I'm used to that. But yeah, man, it's just been great to see them develop individually. And when and if they ever come back together and play together, it's going to be special too. So, that might be one prayer to God that I throw out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we have to have this this infamous story about the draft and a hot dog. I want to know, how does that connect with Keegan, the draft, and the hot dog?
Yeah, okay. So Keegan's back in Iowa after summer league and everything, and they're playing golf. Kris and Keegan, and I think Connor McCaffrey, maybe Peyton Sanford from Iowa. And they're at the turn, and Kris wants a hot dog. So he's like, yo, Keegan, I left my wallet in the car. Can you give me a hot dog? And Keegan goes, no, you got your own money. He goes, bro, you're the 4th pick in the draft. I think you could spare, $4 or whatever, $5 for a hot dog. And he's like, no, you can take the cart and go back to the car and get your money. And I think Connor might have picked up. He's like, Kris, I got you or whatever. But like, dude, that's just how it is. Like he's like, no, I know you got money in your bank account. You can buy your own hot dog. So they're very frugal at times. I think they got a lot of lessons of how not to manage money from Mom and I. I had a business partner that I trusted, and he ended up taking about $50,000 from us. And so, and then it was a struggle, always trying to get back from that. And, I probably did some things that weren't the best when it came to like building my credit score and all that kind of stuff. Right. So they've learned from the mistakes that I've made, and we have a great team when it comes to their financial management. And so that's the biggest thing. If there's anything I can tell any parents that have a kid going to the pros is, one, interview everybody that's going to be in your kid's life, from an agent to the financial advisor, and just have people, and then educate yourself on things. That's the one thing I've been really doing, is trying to educate myself on like contracts and all this kind of stuff, salary cap, just so I know what's going on. But I think that's where a lot of people, you see these athletes getting taken for a lot of money. It's because they're not educated. Maybe their family's not educated, 100%. Because you're talking crazy amounts of money.
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth that's coming in from so many different avenues. And if you don't understand where the money's coming in from and how it's being dispersed,
you may not maximize it.
You may not maximize it, but 2, it's easy to see where people can siphon money off all the time. So,
I mean, if the Shohei Ohtani story is true, that's like example 1. $16 million that his interpreter stole from him, and he didn't even realize it. So like,
it's crazy.
Wow.
That's what the feds say happened. So it's like, if that's the true
you have
story.
a lot of conversations with the feds.
not me. Now, Leo be trying to get me in trouble with the feds.
It's back-to-back episodes, man.
Oh, it's crazy.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious.
Don't come at me, man.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious, but it is, man. It's a lot of money, and I think part of it too is you also have to control the group around you that's family, and I think we want to definitely take care of our family from the standpoint of, like you said, it's generational wealth. But
Right.
there's also, I think, certain parameters that have to be met. And then, so, if anybody has to be the a-hole in the family when it comes to stuff like that, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
My wife wants to give, and which is great.
Yeah.
But there has to be parameters put on it, which is one of the reasons why we started our nonprofit, the Murray Family Foundation, and we'll definitely do things and help out not only our family but other families. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of money out there, and you can just see how guys get taken all the time.
I'm gonna ask Keegan for a hot dog at practice.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, ask him for one.
Hey, Keegan, you spot me for a hot dog, man?
He'll probably give you that little wry smile of his, and just goes like, "Yeah, I'm not answering that question."
Yeah, every now and then, like especially if I talk to you or whatever, I ask him a question, and I think he knows where it came from. But he's like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
So
Back to Cap or
No. First, let's talk a little bit about the podcast.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Leave Your Legacy podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously, the merch. Love the merch.
Yes,
I expect one in the mail, but
give me your sizes. I got you.
perfect. But yeah, talk a little bit about the podcast, what you're doing with that, where people can find you, and just what's going on there.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy. I mean, a year and a half is when I started it, and it was brought on by Kris and Keegan. Did an NIL deal with a local Fresh Mex company called Estella's, and they were helping host a podcast that Patrick and Connor McCaffrey were doing, and they're like, hey, they knew I've been on TV. I've done, I did NBA TV and Big Ten Network, and they're like, hey, I think you could do one. So we just started it, and I was just going to really keep a sports kind of focus, but as it evolved, it was like there's a lot of people that have interesting stories on how they got to the position they're in. So it's become just a storytelling vehicle for most of my guests. And, we've interviewed everything from athletes to doctors, dentists, different nonprofits, pastors. I mean, it's been something that's been really, really cool. And because we expanded the guests like we did, there was a nonprofit called Brave Hearts for Kid that approached us like, hey, we're starting this new streaming network channel on Roku and Amazon Fire TV called Brave Hearts TV. We really like your content. We love you on the show. And so we signed a contract in August, and did a soft launch in November, and then full-blown launch in March. So the show, the Leave Your Legacy show, can be found on Roku. Just download the Brave Hearts TV app. Same thing on Amazon Fire. We come out every week, but we also have our own YouTube channel, Leave Your Legacy Show, and it's been great. I mean, I just love telling stories. I was an English major and wanted to teach, but this is just a great platform to get people's stories out there, man. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, but now we're going on location, doing more interviews. We were just down in Daytona Beach, doing a story on DME, and we got some pretty interesting stuff coming up. There's one guy, and if I can ever use this as a way to maybe throw it out there. So I grew up with Derek Jeter, and Derek Jeter was a hell of a basketball player. First team all conference. Our high schools were rivals, and we were friends. And so when Keegan was going to get drafted, we FaceTime with Derek, and just kind of tell him the ins and out. And his father Charles has been his business manager all the way through. So Derek's that big fish I'm still out there trying to grab. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be interesting because the show has opened up so many doors to so many interesting people. And because of that, I think we'll be able to continue to create content that will be inspiring, thought-provoking in a number of different ways. So, man, the show is just cranking out, and we're going to sign on with Blue Wire, which is another podcasting network.
Congrats.
So we're just excited. Yeah, we're just excited to see where the show goes. And for me, I love the team that I have, and I feel like the show is really helping my team expand, whether it's the social media, the marketing, the production and editing. It's just been a great vehicle for those guys and girls to kind of build their portfolios. And I just look at it as a springboard for them. I lost one social media manager after 3 months. She got hired by the Pelicans and the Saints.
Awesome.
I hope I don't lose my next one. She's a junior at Iowa, so I think I got her for at least another year. But, man, it's just been fun to see them grow. I think I've grown as a person through the podcast, but it's been even better to see my team grow.
Yeah, I love how open you guys are, you and your guests, whenever you're on the show or whatever, you talk about your vulnerable, states or whatever, and it's kind of like you said, it's inspiring to see you guys express yourselves in the way you do or whatever. So that's one thing I really think that's really dope about your podcast, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of yours.
People can identify with that.
Yeah.
Because it's authentic, right? It's like
absolutely
it's real. So
yeah, I think you can hook people with a name or that kind of stuff, but you connect with people through your vulnerability. And I think there's more people out there that are going through things that they just wish people would talk about, which is why when my wife and I were going through marriage counseling, we created the Marriage WTF YouTube channel. And WTF's, most people thought it stood for what it did, but it stood for Worth the Fight. And so we actually went to our counselor at the time and said, hey, we're thinking about this. He's like, you know what? I think it's a great idea. He goes, you're going to help more people with that because more people are going through it. So we try to stay vulnerable, stay authentic.
Are you still doing that podcast?
We're not. We actually did a couple of update episodes with the Leave Your Legacy show. But yeah, we're, her and I, we're super open to talking about it. We've got a couple other projects that are probably a little bit more important right now with the nonprofit, and we're actually starting the process of writing a book on the family and stuff like that. So I think eventually we want to bring it back as maybe something underneath the Leave Your Legacy show.
For sure.
Because we know like just so many people just vibe with it.
Yeah.
And I think what it's shown the boys too is like marriage is hard. But if you get through it, you're honest, you're open, you can make it. And Michelle and I are in a better place. We say, we just start dating again, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think them seeing that has set themselves up to have really strong relationships, and all of their partners come from families where their parents have been married for over 20, 25 years.
Nice.
And so they have it on both sides as far as the strength of a marriage. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited for the future, not only for them, but for our family as a whole. And, hopefully the Leave Your Legacy show will be a huge part of continuing to do those things.
And speaking of your legacy or whatever, as we talked about all shows, Keegan and Kris, but then there's Demetrius and McKenna. What updates you got with them?
Man, so Demetrius, we took him in when he was 17. Unbelievable football player. Track, he was a 4-time Drake Relay champion. I mean, the kid was unbelievable, but just didn't have the home life that was stable enough for him to grow academically in some other ways. So his mom and I agreed that he would come live with us. We took guardianship. This young man never had anybody in his family go to college at all. And he has his master's degree. He's a teacher. He's a PE teacher, health teacher, football coach. And what's crazy is his story allows him to connect with those kids.
100%.
And so he's thriving in his space. They're engaged. They got a 1-year-old. We got a 1-year-old grandson.
Paul.
Yeah. So we got that. And then McKenna, she is a 4.2 student.
Wow.
3-sport athlete. She's probably the best. I say this. They won't give it to me. She's the best athlete in the family. Because she just seamlessly goes from volleyball to basketball to track when she ran. And I can count on 2 hands how many times I worked her out individually for basketball. That just wasn't her thing. She loves to compete, and she was really good. And it's funny because this year she made second team all conference in basketball just because she defended. I mean, there was nights she'd go up against girls that committed to Drake. I mean, these D1 players, and she'd lock them up and make them frustrated, and that's what she wanted, dude. Like, she was like me, like when I was at Iowa, like I just wanted to lock somebody up. So, but yeah, she's super smart. She's going to go to Oregon, major in business, emphasis in sports, figure things out there where I think she might have some ends to doing some stuff in sports maybe at some point. But yeah, man, family's great. My wife is, she's the rock behind us. Man, she loves this family so much that I think it almost hurts her sometimes. But yeah, she's the glue that holds everything together. And even though sometimes she doesn't think the boys need her, they need her, and they show it in their own ways. But yeah, man, I'm just excited for the future, and we want to be able to change, even if it's a small part of the world. We want to change it as a family. So we'll just let's see where the good Lord guides us and go from there.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have a ton of time left, so we got to do these 2 segments pretty quick.
Okay, my bad.
But no.
We try to be mindful of your time.
It's all good.
Nothing like that at all. So we'll do facts or cap and then buy or sell. What do you got for facts or cap for us?
Facts or cap? This is gonna be a fun one because you come from you're involved in 2 two generations of basketball.
Okay.
Is it a fact or is it cap that today's game is better? Today's players are better than the players in the 90s.
It's a good one. I like that
fact
one.
or cap?
Y'all sounds like gonna get.
Who wants to go
if you say
first?
The wrong answer.
I don't know. I'll go first.
You go first? All right, let's do it.
I'll say from a player standpoint, skill-wise, players are better now than they were back then.
Yep.
I think part of it, I played overseas. I played in China and Sweden. And one of the things you saw was just a different skill level for kids starting at a young age. And, you know, so the guys that are doing it at 7 feet now, they were guys back in Europe back then doing it that way. And I think just the skill set, the personal training, the AAU, all the basketball kids play, I think has made them better from a skill standpoint. But I'm old school. I was a bad boys guy growing up in Michigan. Defense dude, like I just wish we could play defense like we did back then. And it'd be interesting to see, like Jordan in this era, you know, you've heard it, like, dude, he'd average like 60 probably because he was so good. But no, I definitely feel it's a fact.
Do you believe he'd average 60?
Well, I mean, he averaged 30-something back then, but I mean, dude,
I don't know if he would.
I mean, he'd probably still be about the same. I mean,
for sure.
But I think what thing probably would have made him better, he probably would have been a better three-point shooter earlier in his career as opposed to later, and that would have. I mean, bro, he was getting 30, not even shooting a jumper, you know, a three-pointer. So, but yeah, I think it's a definite fact that players are better overall today than they were.
Yeah, I'm gonna say facts.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton to add there, but I'll say facts. I mean, I think the players today are more skilled. I think you can see it by just like watching the games and the way the game was played back in the day, and then seeing them now. Just like everyone can do everything, it seems like in the modern NBA, and that's obviously not true for all players. But I think generally speaking, skill wise, there's just
skill wise.
And you touched on it, like the way the players treat their bodies, all the work and money that goes in their bodies and into just everything with their skill set. I think it's facts.
Yeah, they're supposed to be better now. Like it's evolving. It's just like with the women's game.
Yeah,
with the women's game, you got Caitlin Clark, and you know it's supposed to get better.
Yeah.
With saying that, I'm gonna add a little bit since I got you here.
Yeah.
Who's the GOAT?
Oh boy.
Oh.
He's gonna say MJ. He already said 60. I'm like, what's Doug gonna say MJ?
But here's the thing. Like, I mean, I would have to say, like, I mean, I think Jordan is the ultimate winner, and I think probably Kobe's the next level. You know, like that next guy down when it comes to
stop
winning.
disrespecting Kobe like that.
I didn't disrespect Kobe.
But I look at it like, and Jordan could play in any era, Kobe could play in any era, and so could LeBron. Like LeBron's just this mix of skill and size that you never saw. So from a GOAT standpoint, I mean, I think if Jordan wouldn't have stepped away for 2 years, they would have won 8 in a row. So I think he's a GOAT from that standpoint.
Okay.
LeBron, I mean, he's a GOAT of longevity, obviously, right? Like playing as long as he's had. So I'm not going to come all out and answer it. I'm like, but I mean, honestly, I just said it. Like, I mean, there was 2 championships. If Jordan wouldn't have walked away, I think he's definitely the GOAT. When you look at his skill set, the way he dominated, the time he dominated, and then just winning. Like there's nobody that won like him. And who's the only other player to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP in the same year?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the only one.
Coulda, shoulda been LeBron, but
So I mean, by saying, I mean, if you go in our basement and look on the wall where my wife says I have too many jerseys framed and hung up, there's a big thing that says the greatest of all time, and it ain't LeBron.
It ain't Bron, huh? Okay.
We got Jordan on the wall. So
I will say this: the '90s players are tougher than this new generation.
I like '90s basketball.
Not better, but
I think most people did to like
at that time,
the style.
At that time, like you say, I like defense. I like to see defense, and now you don't get too much of it. Even though, as of late, the last few weeks, defense has been able to
Point
touch
of
off.
emphasis.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to ask him about
No,
that.
players don't get incentives off of defense.
Yeah, right. That's true.
I mean, come
That's
on.
funny. That's true.
But they can get paid in the league for a long time, like
Absolutely.
a Pat Bev.
Absolutely.
Stick around.
All right. A rapid fire version of buy or sell. I'll go first. I will buy the NBA in-season tournament. I was skeptical of it, just like I was skeptical of the MLB wild card a while back.
Mm-hmm.
I think the NBA play-in tournament, no, sorry, not in-season tournament, the play-in tournament. The play-in tournament's been great. I think it adds. I mean, look this year you're gonna have LeBron, Steph, Fox, like all these stars. Booker, KD probably. Yeah. I mean, they could still get the 6, but everyone in the play-in tournament. I'm buying the play-in tournament. I think it's great, and I think it's another way that the NBA's just done a good job. Done a good job to get more eyes on the league.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got.
I have no idea what I want to say, but go ahead.
Okay.
These guys are notoriously bad at this segment.
I'm going back. I'm going last. So
Yeah.
I'm already telling you. I'm already telling you that I'm
It's
going
so
last.
crazy. It's not even hard. Come on.
Hey,
I didn't know buy or sell
every episode. I was really dependent on you right now. I was looking at you, but let's see. All right, I'm a buy. I keep buying. I want to sell something. I want to. You know what? Shout out. Shout out to Apple.
Okay.
Yo,
and as these guys know, I'm like
He's
I'm
a
the
Samsung
oldest
guy.
one out of them.
Samsung guy at heart.
you're Isaiah Thomas of haters when it comes to Apple. You're like that. You're the equivalent.
That's fair. I don't like that. I have to connect everything, like the laptop to the phone to money to like. I want a phone. I just want a phone.
Yeah.
But the feature that is, and this is very simple because I really don't like Apple, but I thought about it yesterday. The one thing I really like about Apple products, whether it's the laptop or MacBook, as y'all like to call it, or whatever, is the little magnetic pieces, like when you charge your phone and it sticks. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Like
The little things.
the little things.
You
So
doing R&D for Google, Samsung right now?
Yeah, we need that. Well, I'm Apple now, but whatever.
That's a good buy.
That's cool.
It's a good buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing.
I'm gonna go with contract. I'm buying that the Pelicans are gonna make some noise in the NBA playoffs. Just watching them again without BI. I think they're a well-rounded team from top to bottom. They're super long, they're athletic, and they're very physical.
Facts.
I was left really impressed by what I saw the other night, and I think they're gonna get to the conference finals.
That's a good buy. It's a good buy.
Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking about this. This might be a little controversial.
Good. We love it.
I am going to sell in-season travel teams from the standpoint. So when you coach basketball and you have travel teams that do things that take away from your high school team. So because in Iowa we have, during our basketball season, club volleyball is starting. So so it pulls girls away from there. I had a player that she missed games because of volleyball practice for a club team. And so I sell that during the season. And younger kids, they're playing, whether it's basketball, they're playing AAU, which is fine because they don't have the high school season. But you're starting to see this club mentality during other seasons that are in. It really starts taking away from athletes, and athletes are having to make a decision if they want to play. They want to do the club thing or the in-season thing, and I think that's a definite negative on the game. So I'm selling in-season club practices and tournaments.
All right, well that's a wrap. Thank you, Kenyon. Much appreciated for you being here on the 3 in the Paint podcast. This is episode 9, special episode. Thank you, Mark, Leo, Jeremiah, and we'll see you next time.